Welcome back, listeners. If you've tuned into our last episode, you know we left our honeymooning couple in the bewitching city of Venice, where their dream trip turned into a walking nightmare. Now, let's dive into Honeymoon Horror Story Part 2. Brace yourselves, the terrifying journey continues. The first inkling that something was wrong came when I couldn't find our passports. We turned our room upside down, but there was no sign of our travel documents or our phones. Maybe we misplaced them, Anna suggested, trying to keep the worry from her voice. But deep down, we both knew we hadn't misplaced anything. Our villa, which only days ago was a symbol of love and togetherness, felt different. The quaint charm of the anticipated furniture and the centuries-old architecture, once endearing, now felt oppressive. It was as if the villa was slowly morphing into a gilded cage. We were trapped, and an inexplicable sense of dread began to creep into my heart. Venice, the city we had been enchanted by, seemed to have changed overnight. The city's beautiful maze of canals and narrow alleys felt more like a trap now, designed to confuse and disorient. The beautiful city had started to wear a mask of its own, a face that was not as friendly as it seemed. With every step we took outside, we felt watched. Our stalker was everywhere, yet nowhere, hidden behind an ornate mask. The kind tourists buy as mementos. This masked figure was tall and lean, draped in a cloak that seemed to merge with the darkness. He maintained a distance, yet his presence was always felt. My mind constantly circled back to the newspaper clippings we had found, the stories of vanished couples. The connections were hard to ignore. They had all stayed in this villa. Despite our fear, we knew we couldn't lock ourselves in the villa. Our only chance was to navigate through the city to find someone who would help us. But the fear was palpable. Our stalker seemed to have become an integral part of our honeymoon, a dark figure lurking in our love story. We were stuck in this city of love and horror, with no way out in sight. We decided to go to the police station, but frustration gnawed at us as we walked into the local police station. Our limited Italian was hardly enough to order a meal, let alone explain the complex situation we were in. Despite our best efforts, we struggled to communicate the gravity of our predicament.
Turisti sempre esagerano,
I heard one of the officers muttering under his breath. Tourists always exaggerate. The indifference in his eyes stung. Our pleas for help were falling on deaf ears. We turned to the locals next, hoping they would prove more helpful, yet they mirrored the police in their dismissiveness. Our frantic gestures, our panic attempts at explaining our situation, were met with raised eyebrows and nonchalant shrugs.
just another tourist tale,
they seemed to say. As the city slept, our nightmare was only beginning. We were alone in a city that was once magical, now a maze designed to ensnare us. Isolation sank its teeth into us, making the picturesque cityscape feel more like an eerie stage set for our growing terror. The cobblestone streets we had once admired were now silent witnesses to our fear. That's when I thought of the abandoned boathouse. I had noticed it during one of our gondola rides, an old wooden structure almost hidden in the labyrinth canals. It was a desperate plan, but desperation was all we had left.
we have to lead him there.
I told Anna, outlining my plan. The idea was risky and the danger was real. But the alternative was to do nothing and wait for the masked figure to make the next move. Fear had us cornered, but we weren't ready to give up just yet, not without a fight. The image of the abandoned boathouse flashed in my mind. It sat concealed in the elaborate maze of Venice's canals, away from prying eyes. If we were going to escape, that was our best bet. The next day, we stepped out of our villa. To anyone watching, we appeared to be a pair of tourists, ready for another day of sightseeing in the city of love. The reality, however, was far from it. Every step we took, every corner we turned, we were leading our silent stalker towards the boathouse, like a spider luring its prey to its web. Our hearts pounded as we wandered through the labyrinth city. Each echo of footsteps was amplified in our ears. We would occasionally catch a glimpse of a masked figure, always at a distance, always observing. The tall, lean figure draped in black, its face hidden behind an ornate Venetian mask, sent chills down our spines. Yet we continued, fear propelling us forward. We finally reached the boathouse, a sanctuary amidst the chaos. As we ducked inside, the figure drew nearer. This was our moment. In one swift motion, we pushed a waiting gondola into the canal. The splash resonated through the quiet night, breaking the silent tension that hung in the air. As the figure darted towards the commotion, we seized our chance. We darted away, disappearing into the narrow, winding alleys of Venice. The city that was our prison just a moment ago now aided our escape, its complicated network of streets confusing our pursuer. Heart pounding and breath ragged, we made it to a crowded market. The humdrum of tourists and locals alike offered a stark contrast to our harrowing experience. We blended in, just another couple in the city of countless lovers. We found a public telephone, a lifeline in our desperate situation. I punched in the number of our embassy, explaining our plight in hurried whispers. The voice on the other end assured us help was on its way. As we awaited our rescue, we couldn't help but look over our shoulders, half expecting to see the masked figure emerging from the crowd. But our stalker was nowhere to be seen. We breathed a sigh of relief for the first time since we had discovered our pursuer. We were going to make it out of this. We were going home. The embassy acted swiftly, extracting us from the depths of Venice's canals to the relative safety of the embassy grounds. Our flight home was a whirlwind of relief, exhaustion, and a lingering sense of dread that shadowed us. Despite the 1,000 miles we'd put between ourselves and the city of canals, the terror of the past few days clung to us like a cold shiver you can't shake off. Once back on home soil, our first stop was the local police station. The disbelief in their eyes was palpable as we recounted our chilling experience. The masked figure, our discovery in the restaurants, the missing couples, and our daring escape. But with the backing of our embassy, they had no choice but to take us seriously. Our report triggered an intensive investigation, with local authorities liaising with their Venetian counterparts. But our stalker, the masked figure that turned our honeymoon into a nightmare, remained elusive. Despite their efforts, the police found no trace of the person who had haunted our steps in Venice. It was as though they had vanished, much like the couples before us. Our honeymoon, the celebration of our union, our love, now became a haunting memory of a dangerous encounter. It's funny how a place can change your mind. Venice was no longer the romantic city of love to us, but a twisted labyrinth that housed the silent predator. The city's beauty was now overshadowed by the horrifying experience that will forever linger in our memory. A chilling reminder of the time we spent in the deadly embrace of the city of canals. That's where we conclude Honeymoon Horror Part 2, folks. And remember, not all journeys end upon coming home. Be sure to tune in next time, where we'll dive into a fresh new tale of the unexplained and the unknown. Until then, keep your eyes open and stay safe.